Hey bosses, welcome back to the vlog, and today I'm going to answer 5 questions that I received on my, let me just put this straight and a little bit down because we don't want headroom, that I received on my social media in the last days. And once again, when we don't have time to shoot a vlog, we shoot a Q&A. So feel free to send me questions, and we are going to start. Let me just adjust this right now. What are the tendencies for the real estate market in Miami for the next years, and how can that impact my investments? Well, in general terms, the tendencies to the real estate market in Miami, they are positive. And I'm going to tell you what. People are still moving to Florida. Florida is still a better deal than a lot of great cities in Miami. And most importantly, the companies that start moving their corporate HQ to Miami in the last years are still doing and finalizing that process. The Microsoft building is going to be delivered soon, 50,000 square feet of area they are going to occupy. Imagine all the people that are going to move there and live there in Miami because they need to work for Microsoft. So there's a lot of things going on. However, now you need to be more tactical and strategic, and some of the next questions are going to touch on that subject. So keep in mind to watch the whole video, but you need to understand where the market is going to. We are going to start delivering the new projects soon. We already started with the Aston Martin, and some other projects are going to come along. All the projects that were launched in the last 4 years are going to start being developed, are going to start being handover, like delivered, and you need to pay attention in the area that you are going to invest, that area can be overbuilt or have a lot of units. However, not everybody that bought in the last few years are just for speculation. They don't want necessarily to sell or to rent those properties, right? So of course, some of them are going to do, and that's going to increase the inventory in each specific area, mostly in downtown and Brickell. But that doesn't mean that everybody that bought are going to sell. So it doesn't mean that the prices are going to collapse. They might not go high as they were going in the last few years, but they're definitely not going to collapse because all the buildings now are being delivered. They are going to stay the same. The same thing happened in 2017. Everybody was expecting the same thing because the buildings that were being built in 2010, 11, 12, 14 started being delivered, and the market didn't went down. It just stabilized. So you need to understand that, and you need to understand which neighborhoods are good, which is going to be the question number 3. So stay tuned. Number 2, that's for foreign people. So if you live in Miami or if you are American, that's not going to apply to you, but so you can skip to the next question or just wait because this is fast. How does it work to open a bank account in the US to make it easier to buy properties in Miami? Well, I don't know specifically about any restraint on nationalities to open bank accounts. I know there's restrictions to buy properties like Russians, Cubans, Venezuelans, North Koreans, Iranians. They have problems buy there, so you need to keep that in mind. But if your country doesn't have any restrictions, it should be an easy process. You just go to the bank with your passport and proof of address, and you should be able to open your bank account. Now, if you're buying your property under a corporation, you can assign your accountant or whoever person it is to be a manager in that company or an authorized person in that company, and that person can open the bank account for you, so you don't need to go there personally. They will open the bank account for the company without you being there. You can give them specific powers just to open the bank account, not do any transaction, not to withdraw any money, and they can do that for you. So it's pretty straightforward. There's nothing much more than that. Question number 3, which are the best neighborhoods in Miami to buy properties? Seeking for a long-term increase of price and a good return on investment. Definitely Little Haiti. 3 years ago, in 2022, I assisted my clients to buy a property there. He was looking for a multifamily. I target that area because I really believe in it. And we bought this property for $630,000, and now it's worth on the north of $1 million. So that was almost 45, 50%, 35 to 45% appreciation in just 2 years. So that's a very good price increase. And just like happened to Alapata 7 years ago, where developers were buying like old warehouses, things like that, I think I believe there's going to be a lot of consolidation where developers are going to buy a lot of multifamilies next to each other, a lot of properties next to each other, just collapse it and build something better and bigger, because where Little Haiti is very good, because it's just just out off of Biscayne Boulevard, north of Wynwood, Zion District, Alapata. So Miami is growing that way and this way, like from north to south and south to north. And Little Haiti is in the middle. I think that is the current neighborhood to be if you want to invest in the long run and if you don't want to use the property, because the properties in La Plata, they are not very nice. They are a tear down, or they need a lot of maintenance. And so that's a very good area to invest, seeking long-term and for sure a good investment. Question number 4, how can I manage my property in Miami if I live abroad? Making sure it gets rented and keep increasing in price. That's a very good question. I have a client that owns 17 properties and he managed himself all of them. How did he do it? Number 1, he didn't buy a single condo. They are all single family homes or duplexes or 3 and 4 plexes, where he controls the property in its entirety. When you own a condo, you don't control its entirety. You don't control the balcony and you don't control the front door. What that means that you cannot, in some cases, put either a lockbox on the property, or you cannot put digital locker where the guest or the tenant can enter without you being there. So that's number 1. So he automatized all his properties in that sense. Number 2, he signed up for an online app, where this app, every time this app is connected to the main platforms, Airbnb, VRBO, Booking, which call YouPorter, and every time someone books, he receives a message, and he has a virtual assistant also, that when he cannot reply, this other person reply. And every time the booking is done, because it got to the last day, the management, the cleaning company receives a message, so they go there and they clean the house, and they also do a checklist to see if nothing was broken or stolen, so they can charge the client. So that's number 1. You can invest in automation and a good cleaning company that can be your concierge in that sense. So you're not going to pay crazy amount of money for a management company, but you're also not going to work on your properties. This way you can have a lot. This client that owns 17 properties, he lives abroad, he's American, he lives in Europe, and he has properties in Orlando, Tampa, in that area, single family homes. The other way that you can do is manage yourself, right? It's very hard to manage yourself when you are at a distance. You're always going to have someone there, and you're going to have to pay some kind of money. The other way that you can do is hire a management company. Some buildings in Miami, they have their own management company that you are obligated, it's mandatory to use them, and they usually charge very high, like 35 to 49% of the revenue. So in the end, you need to see if the numbers work out for you, because some people are just looking that the revenue pays for the mortgage, but they don't need to take care of anything else. And some people are actually want to pay the mortgage and have some cash flow. So you need to understand if those kind of charges are going to help you. Some buildings allow that you hire third party or outside management company that's going to charge you between 20 to 25% management fee, always on the gross income, never on the profit. And this way you also have peace of mind, right? You're going to give part of your revenue to someone to manage, but also you don't waste time figuring out how to unclog the toilet because someone called you at 3 in the morning because it's not working. So having a management company will save you time. It will cost you money, but will save you time. With that, you can invest in more properties, or you can do whatever you want. You just don't need to be attached to the property and doing the maintenance. Question number 5. What is the advantage of investing in commercial properties in Miami compared to residential, considering the present economic scenario? Well, in general terms, and that's my opinion, that's my vision, I prefer residential rather than commercial. Why? Because residential properties, people always are going to need a roof over their head to sleep at night. Always, always. And COVID showed us that companies don't always need an office. So during COVID, a lot of companies downsize, a lot of companies send people home to work. A lot of companies are coming back, but the work from home culture is still here. So I'm afraid that in the future, something else is going to happen and people are going to come back home. So I don't really like commercial. Now, it doesn't mean that it doesn't have positive sides, right? Advantages against residential. While when you buy a residential, you have short-term rentals, like for less than a year or 1 year rentals. When you have commercial properties, you usually have 5 to 30-year leases, right? So you have a longer period of time without having to put that tenant again. The downside of that is that if your tenant leaves, you're going to have to wait maybe 6 months, 1 year, 2 to put someone there. But think about it. When you buy a residential property and you have a 12-month lease, when someone gets out, you need a month and a half to 2 months to put another person there, right? So we are talking about if we do a percentage of that, 2 months over 12, we're talking about 16% vacancy rate, right? On a long-term residential deal. Now, if you find a company that rents for 5 years and you need 2 years to rent, that's 40%. That's a lot. But if it's 10 years, it takes 2 years to rent. We're talking about 20% vacancy. If you buy a triple net lease, which is also commercial, we're talking about 35 years lease, 30 years lease. So what I'm trying to say is that having a longer lease can offset the fact that if that company leaves your property, you're going to take longer to replenish, because usually companies have very specific demands regarding their properties, their offices, and you are going to have to accommodate, or they're going to have to make the investment. The other good side is that usually on commercial, the company is responsible for the maintenance of the property. Not always the insurance and the property tax, but usually the maintenance it's responsibility of the tenant. So that's one less headache for you. If you don't want to have any headache going commercial, triple net lease again. The tenant takes care of the rent, the insurance, and the property tax. So there are some advantages for commercial properties. I don't feel comfortable in the long term saying that commercial is better than residential. If you look at historic data, the average, if I'm not mistaken, the average vacancy rate on a commercial is 15 to 20% vacancy. On a residential is less than 10. So you're going to lose less time with no income on a residential than a commercial. But everybody has their own rationale in terms of investment. You just need to figure out what is best for you. So those are the 5 questions today for those people seeking to invest abroad. And if you have more questions, please write below. See you in the next one.